All right, let's start talking about one of the last things you said last night about how it feels embarrassing that something like this, what's on the screen right now, is just so troublesome. And I understand that. That's perfectly fine. Um, just hopefully you understand. This is all part of the process. Like having to find out what are your big struggles and addressing those as much as possible, so this way they're not struggles anymore. So I think a lot of players out there gravitate towards what they're strongest at, and then they get comfortable playing those things, and then when stuff like this comes up, it turns out to be problematic, and perhaps they're not played enough to make them not problematic. Some guys will stray away from them, or like we discussed a little bit last night, a lot of people just don't know how to practice these sorts of things, or like how to approach practicing in a practical, pragmatic way, in a way that's very efficient, instead of just spinning the wheels. Because practice, again, may have said it before. I don't know if I said it to you, but I say it to a lot of people. Like, practice doesn't mean anything. Only perfect practice makes perfect. So, you can practice something wrong 1,000 times, and all you did was get good at playing incorrectly. If you can, if it doesn't deter from you having fun playing your instrument, anytime you're playing something and your thumb starts wiggling around and whatnot, or you're doing something that feels like, basically that the thumb wiggle is what we're trying to get rid of. If you're playing something and you're trying to practice something and you notice it's doing that, just stop right away. We want to reduce the amount of times you do that now. So you've had another thing. I hope you keep this in perspective. Like we said last night, you've been playing for 25 years, and this is what, lesson 3, and next week will be lesson 4. Yeah, next week will be lesson 4. So this is only the 3rd time. So we're just getting started on changing things. So, I hope you allow some patience for yourself, because this is going to take a bit of work to change things. Because again, you had 25 years doing something one way, and now we're going to try and get you to do something a bit different in order to polish up your technique, in order to get you to where you want to be. So, and again, you've been playing longer than I have. So when I come across something that I need to correct, or I'm trying to improve, and I can't do it right away, I absolutely feel frustrated. It's like, what if I could do one of these things so fucking well? How come I can't do this other thing so well? It's just like, well, I know why I can't. It's because I didn't put the time and effort into it. So, like, for certain sweep picking things, could be very challenging for me, especially trying to go as fast as I want to go. So we all have our roadblocks. I saw you doing hybrid picking. You are a better hybrid picker than I am, guaranteed, because you've put the effort in with that and you practice that stuff well. I suck at it. I am a terrible hybrid picker. I know the concepts. It's something I considered working on here and there, but as far as the music that I write, it hasn't been very applicable. Or perhaps if I practiced it, then I would start writing things using it. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, if I was to start doing that, I would be terrible at it. It would take some, quite a bit of work for me to become proficient at the hybrid picking, which is something you are better at than I am. So again, we all have roadblocks. We all have certain things to address in order to polish up the technique as much as possible. So it will get better. And as you've said, you've noticed that things have gotten better with the exercises you've done so far, and you feel a bit more comfortable with the strumming stuff after doing that whole thing. So again, hopefully you're able to keep that in perspective too. You've made improvements. Things have gotten better. So we're going to keep going that way. And now that we've found something that is a big roadblock at the moment, Now we're going to be able to make it better, get you stronger, get you picking better, get all that control stuff happening. So it's going to keep getting better. Going to keep getting better. So that being said, let's go down to 60 and do some speed demos here. Do your best not to palm mute on this stuff. In fact, anytime you notice you're palm muting this, stop. The reason why is because we want to address, what the weakness is. So you feel more comfortable doing the palm mute for this sort of thing. So that's why I don't want you to palm mute. Let's really push you out your comfort zone right now and to start helping you get that pick control. So when I'm doing this, I do have my pinky sitting on the body of the guitar there. And I am doing the downward pick slant orientation when I'm playing this. If you did the upward stuff, what's going to happen is you have a tendency to, when you change from the D string up to the G string, you're going to be blasting through that D string to get to the G string. And same thing when you're changing, from the G string to get to the D string, you're going to have to go through the D string to get to that next downstroke. So basically anytime you leave a string, if you are leaving a string on an upstroke, you want to have that downward slant orientation in order to avoid hitting the strings completely. To completely avoid hitting the strings. If you're leaving the strings on a downstroke, then the upward slant orientation, that's more beneficial. So basically, because when you're doing your downstroke, that's putting you out and away from the guitar at that point. So pushing down and away. So now you're clear of the strings. You're not stuck in them. So when you're doing the upstroke, you're picking up and away with that downward slant orientation, and that allows you to get up out of the strings, so you can go to the next thing without feeling like your pick's trapped in there. And remember, make adjustments to your hand when you're playing and whatnot, and understand things are going to feel uncomfortable. That's just how it is right now. As you recalled, how awkward everything felt when you first started playing. So consider this new territory. I think it's fairly new territory. So yeah, it'll feel awkward, and as you continue to do the metronome work, you're going to start to feel more comfortable. You might find little adjustments that you make and whatnot, but yeah, definitely, you don't want to dig the pick into the strings. Remember, you just want the point of the pick to just graze the strings. You barely want, you want no pick going past that center point of the string. You always want to try and think about you have the outward half and the inward half, or the outside half and the inside half. So you always want to stay in that outside half as much as possible. You're gonna go past it, but it's thinking of it you want to stay on the outside as much as you can. So just thinking of it that way might help you keep the pick from going too far past the string. Because the further you put that pick past the string, you got that much pick that has to go, go across that string in order to pluck it. So it's like if I, this might be a little bit more practical pick to show, but if I have this much showing and I stick it all the way in there, I have so much resistance to that. But as soon as I choke up on it, I'm using just a very little tip, I automatically start going faster. But as soon as I put more and more past that string, I have all that resistance. So that's something to think about too. If you feel resistance, check to see how much pick you have showing. Make sure you're not putting the pick really far past the string. And when we get to, let's see, number 3 especially, strum soft. Try and strum soft when you do this one. You don't want to blast the strings, because if you're putting a lot of effort into that, then it's wasted energy and it's not going to be conducive to playing really fast. So yeah, you have to have a pretty gentle touch in order to get going really quick. But anyway, let's play. So start with 60. Here we go. Double time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 160. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And make sure you do the best you can to not hit any other strings except for the one that you're playing on. This is to help cultivate more awareness of what you're doing with the pick and develop more pick control. Alright, and 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I picked pretty light there. So, there's another thing I want you to keep in mind. Considering how things went for you last week, doing the 8th note version of, I don't remember what the chords were, but doing like the da, 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 da. So doing the 8th note version, you got, I think you said 260. And then when you went to the 16th note one, you're having a tough time getting past that 120. So if you get this, it's 240 with the 8th notes. You're welcome to start trying the 16th note version instead. However, if it seems like doing the 16th note way is you're not able to get as fast as the 8th note version, or if you're having a lot of struggle, getting up to that same speed, stick with the 8th note one. So, I mean, that could be more beneficial anyway, because now you're having more and more repetitions at the slower speeds with the 8th note version. So this way you're able to focus on that particular picking technique even more. So sometimes that's necessary. So yeah, let's go to number 2. You might want to play this one without distortion. I think you can hear the notes a bit better. Sounds nice and neat. So make sure you're alternate picking the whole time. So you don't want to do all downstrokes with this. It's still alternate picking. I'm anchoring with my finger there, so this way I have some distance between my hand and the strings. And again, try your best. Well, if you notice that you're hitting other strings besides the ones that you're aiming for, don't go on with the speed. Remember, you want to get everything perfect. Think like you're recording. Like before you move up, you think like, was that good enough for a take? And if it wasn't good enough for a take, do her again. So let's see. I don't even know if I can do this 240. We'll find out. But again, this is all about cultivating more pick awareness and control. And we'll be doing more challenging things with this. I'll ramp it up based on how each week's performance goes. But anyway, just start. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 20. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you might notice you do like a little bit of a scoop type pick here. That's considered cross picking. So it's kind of like you kind of swipe the pick down in and out like that. Bluegrass players do that a lot, and I do that for quite a few things, especially at slower tempos. So, and it's kind of necessary with something like this because, remember, we talked about earlier in this video, when you leave the string on a downstroke, it's optimal to be in the upward slant position. If you leave a string on an upstroke, then it's optimal to be in the downward slant position. So we're constantly changing that. So we're going to a new string every single time. We leave on a downstroke, and then we leave on an upstroke, and then we leave on a downstroke and leave on an upstroke. So this is going to start helping you get used to changing that slant orientation. And the cool thing about doing the metronome stuff, I find, is like if you just make it sound good, then your hand can start correcting itself and do what's necessary in order to play these things. So that's the cool thing about metronome. I never knew about this slant stuff until that guy Troy Grady from Cracking the Code, broke down my stuff for me. He said, like, hey, you're actually doing this when you play this, and when you play that, you're doing that. So, yeah, that's how I developed two-way pick slanting. Just metronome like crazy, and making things sound as best as I can. And the other hand just kind of did it. 160. I don't know if I played it here yet. Let's do it again anyway if it didn't. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's give 200 a try. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Getting tough. Alright, I'll try the top speed of 240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo! Lordy, lordy. Okay. So this is something that, I really don't practice much. But if I did, then I'd be better at, doing that. And having a better pick control myself. So, there's a good chance you're not going to get to 240 with this one. And that's okay. And you know what? I might be completely wrong here. If you get there, good. But if this proves to be challenging, that's okay. You don't have to get to 240 there. Or this is a journey. It's a process. It's like I'm your tour guide showing you, okay, well, this is what we need to go look at next. Now we're going to go look over here. This is how we're going to go down this trail together. All right, so this guy, it might sound better practicing this clean. I suppose you can use distortion if you want, but I'm gonna do it clean. So I'd like you to stay. Let's just stay with the eighth notes on this one and see how fast you can get. Let's say if you get this up to 300. If you get this to 300 with the eighth notes, then let's move on to 16th notes and let me know. I'll do an update of the tab and send it to you. Or you can do it yourself. You just basically double up everything. So you still have 4 beats in the bar. And so basically you'd have your 1, 2, 3, 4 if you move on to the 16th note thing. So get to 300 beats a minute with the 8th notes with what's up on screen right now. Get to 300 beats a minute before trying the 16th note. I think that would keep things a bit safer. Alright, here we go at 60. And when I'm playing this, my hand might touch every now and then, but it's very floaty when I'm doing this strum stuff. Alright, so here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I really skipped ahead there. But I was thinking, I remember try and strum gentle. Don't blast the strings on this. Try and keep it nice and soft on the strumming. Double time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. $200. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. $240. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll find you will start using your arm more for something like that, and that's fine. Definitely part of strumming chords like that. Anyway, so yeah, here we go. The next part of the journey. So as always, if you got questions throughout the week, yeah, still hit me up, email me like you have been doing, and send those progress videos when you can. They're definitely good. I like you doing that. It's very helpful, I believe, for the both of us. So there we go. I'll see you next week.